This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
In October 2019, Arlington, Texas was chosen to be the home of a new national museum, unlike any other. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a unique home of military history. The 100,000 square foot museum will house exhibits, archives, and artifacts relating to the 3,500 U.S. troops who have been awarded the medal, the nation's highest honor for valor in combat. The museum will have 31,000 square feet of galleries dedicated to U.S. troops who have received the award. The museum CEO, former Navy SEAL and NASA astronaut Chris Cassidy, said the museum will focus on education as much as preservation. The building will have 5 areas dedicated to Medal of Honor winners from the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. The main gallery will be located in a central plaza under a 25,000 square foot slab of steel, which will appear to be suspended in midair. It will be supported by 5 pillars. Black Rifle Coffee is a corporate sponsor of the museum, as are the Dallas Cowboys. The museum's board also includes over a dozen major corporations and 6 Medal of Honor recipients, including David Bellavia, Patrick Brady, and Britt Slabinski. Army Staff Sergeant Bellavia was awarded the medal for clearing an entire house by himself on November 10, 2004, as a squad leader in support of Operation Phantom Fury in Fallujah, Iraq. He killed 4 enemy fighters and wounded a 5th in close quarters battle. Army Major General Brady flew and coordinated the evacuation of 51 seriously wounded men during a firefight in Vietnam in January 1968. Slabinski, a Navy SEAL chief and team leader, led a rescue team of SEALs during Operation Anaconda in Afghanistan in March 2002. Slabinski and his team flew to a mountaintop ambush site to rescue Petty Officer First Class Neil Roberts, who had fallen from the back of a helicopter. Slabinski led the team through almost constant combat against an entrenched Taliban force. Along with the board members, former presidents Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama serve as honorary directors. The museum is expected to open to the public in late 2024.
All right. Welcome back.
Misfit Nation. The Misfit Nation Show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation Show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_Misfit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. It's Tuesday, and the crew is live this week. Both Cagney and Lacey are in the house. They're ready to give you a great show with a great guest, another veteran from the United States Marine Corps. They'll introduce him in a second. As you know, here at the Misfit Nation and the ToosDay Crue, we always celebrate those who do great things, but we also pay homage to those who have lost their lives in the line of duty. We have one more to add today. On August 12, 2024, Sergeant Billy Randolph, Fort Worth Police Department, Texas, lost his life and will be sorely missed by that department, by his family, by his friends. Remember, keep these officers in your hearts, in your prayers, and think about how you can make your community better by making things like this not happen anymore. So without further ado, let's bring in Cagney, let's bring in Lacey, and let's get this show rocking!
Hey, thank you for the introduction there, Mr. Duh Nation. Good evening, Stephen.
Duh Nation. I like that.
Esquire. How you doing this evening, Stephen?
His Holiness. I'm doing good. How about you?
Doing great. Got home from work today, brush hogged some pasture, and then Mrs. Holland roasted a chicken, fried some corn, and had some mashed potatoes. And my belly's full, and it's a good night.
Now you're ready to sleep.
Yeah. Not shortly after we're done here. I will be. I hope you're having a good week.
Yeah, work and cleaning and busy work. Yeah.
I understand. Myself and Mr. The Nation was trying to get a set of VR goggles to work today, so we had to save that for tomorrow.
VR, what, to fly the drones, or is it what is it doing?
No, just for some training.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a couple sets that do that. And, yeah, it kind of befuddled us for a little bit, but I think he got it figured out. So we're going to finish that tomorrow.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, hey, first of all, I'd like to welcome everybody to the show. If you're listening to the recorded version on YouTube or any of the other streaming platforms, we welcome you to the show. And remember to like, share, and subscribe. And let's get to introducing our guest.
Okay, our guest is a former Marine. Did 20 years in the military, 3 tours in Iraq, 2 in Okinawa, and then he went into the alcohol business. His name is Eric Dominijanni, like this.
Dominijanni.
It's Dominijanni. There we go.
Dominijanni.
Yeah,
sorry.
It's not that hard. Well, I apologize for correction. There's no such thing as a former Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. So I'm a retired Marine. I'm an ugly Marine.
Retired Marine. I apologize.
There we go.
Hey,
and what was your favorite crayon to play with?
Well, I got out before crayons became a snack for the Marine Corps. So that was relatively recently.
Okay. So tell us about yourself. Go as far back as you want, and bring us.
First, the dinosaurs came, but they got big and fat. No, that's.
I said you, not the world.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. I mean, I could start just my military career. 1997-ish, I joined the Marine Corps. I read too many books about knighthood and Knights of the Round Table, Achilles. Greek mythology, just something that always intrigued me. I had problems. I couldn't afford to go to school, and I figured the military was the only way out. Wound up getting a scholarship, both athletic and academic. And I realized I didn't have to go into the military, but I still wanted to. So after I graduated, pre-med, pre-biology, biology major. I was a nerd, an athletic nerd. I wound up still pursuing that, joined the Marine Corps, became an amtracker, an assault amphibian officer. For those of you who don't speak Marine, who speak Army or civilian, I was an amphibious. I mean, for the majority of my career, I was an amphibious, mechanized, and motorized and dismounted infantry officer. That's the best way to describe it. That's what I did the majority of my time. Absolutely loved it. Without the AAVs, the amphibious assault vehicles, the Marine Corps would be the Army. That's the thing. We are the bread and butter of the Marine Corps, and if anyone who sells otherwise, go screw yourself. Retired from the Marine Corps, and in 2017, and I did 3 tours in Iraq, 2 tours in Okinawa, like you said. I was a short tour. Retired from the Marine Corps, and I wanted to pursue something a little bit more challenging. So I decided to go to culinary school, pursue a lifelong dream. I've been cooking. I'm half Italian. I've been cooking since I was a child. Many years ago, I went up against Bobby Flay. If you're a throwdown with Bobby Flay, I beat an Iron Chef, season 1, episode 5. Then after that, I wound up actually pursuing my PhD. I'm almost done with that. I'm actually about weeks away from becoming Dr. Dominijanni. And
Nice.
Thank you. And then outside of that, the other thing was I wound up getting into Scotch. That was a fluke, especially when you're half Italian. Everyone expected me to get into wine, which I even expected to. I'm not sure how much time we have, but the Scotch story was just simply I was in California. I was in between deployment. I got sick, and I've always been stationed in the most, excuse my French, Jake, the most hillbilly of all areas. Everything is deep served with gravy. Inbreeding is legal, and so is NASCAR and Bassmasters. And so every time I tried to get something to eat, and any place I would go, they'd always mess up my order. It's like, I'm supposed to be happy that I ordered a cheeseburger, they gave me a hot dog. And you're like, as a Yankee, we're rude because I got mad. I ordered a pizza and they gave me, like a hot dog, like, you Yankees. And it was driving me crazy, And when you're half Italian from New York, you're also used to like a higher end of cuisine, or at least a plethora of international cuisines at your disposal. So I remember being in California, pissed off, excuse my French, because I can't get what I want. I just if I ask for a medium rare burger, at least just give me a burger. Play me, give me some slack.
Yeah.
And I was in a bar. I believe it was called Bordner's in LA. Don't quote me on this. I'm not in LA. I'm a New Yorker. I'm an East Coast guy. And this guy he asked all my friends, hey, you guys in the service? And they pointed like, no, I'm retired. I'm this, I'm out. But they pointed towards me and they're like, this guy's still in. And this guy offered to buy me a drink. I honestly thought he was hitting on me, but, I'm like, hey, that's what floats your boat. It's a free drink, $20. And it's a joke. And at the end of the day, he bought me a drink. And I took a step, I did a toast with him, and I realized he wasn't gay. Because he probably bought me the most horrible, disgusting drink I've ever had in my life. To this day, I believe it might have been, oh God, I can't remember the name of the drink right now. It is the most horrendous whiskey, Scotch, bourbon. I just it was battery acid. So now I leave the bar. I'm in a bad mood.
We call that moonshine.
No, moonshine. I believe it might have been Malort, okay? And I was just disgusted. And I'm with my usually the designated driver. I don't drink much, at least back then. Eventually, I got married and I started drinking like all married men should. And then anyway, so we're traveling around throughout LA. We're mixing friends, going back and forth. And I finally get to this bar. I believe it's in Huntington Beach or something like that. And this guy's got, I was like, what do you got for rum? Because I come from the Caribbean. I worked in the Caribbean for about, God knows how many years. I know everything about rum, man. Everything about Jamaica, Antigua, everything, So I ordered this rum, and all they had was like the most basic well stuff. And I'm like, is that all you got? And he's like, bro. And he points up. He's like, this is a Scotch bar. I go, what? And I look up, and he's got like 1 million scotches over my head, like in a circle around. Wow. I know nothing about scotches. And I'm like, teach me. He's like, what? No, seriously, teach me. I don't know anything. I'm an aspiring chef. I don't know anything about, I know wine, I know rum, I know this. I don't know anything about scotches. He's like, you serious? I took my Navy Fed card out, threw it on the table. I'm like, just don't rip me off. Just teach me. I wound up getting probably the omakase of watches. It was like the most amazing tutorial. He was so happy, just so happy to teach, to pass the knowledge on to me. And he's like, oh, this is, Lefroy, and this is a Highland, and this is a Space Side, and this is served with water. I like this with bubblies, and I like this, and this should be served room temperature. It just go on and on and on. So I wound up getting the bug. I get back home, and I started my Scotch collection, which eventually became, it was quite extensive at the time. It moved from a rum collection to a Scotch collection. And then after that, I wound up, I make my own wine, I make my own rum. I mean, not rum, sorry. I make my own wine, make my own ice cream, I make my own sausage, salami, beer. I make just about everything in my house. I mean, I have, my kids don't eat ice cream unless I make it, put it that way. So I decided, let me start with my own infinity bottle, my own legacy bottle. And I started my own blend, if you will. And then when I, there's 3 fingers of that, take notes. And then I have dinner parties at my house all the time. And, most of us were Marines. There was one submariner or submariner, whatever they call it, at our place. And then, there's dinner parties regularly. And then when it was ready, I cracked it open and like, all right, guys, we're going to do this. And they were like, wow, this is some good stuff. I was like, great. And next thing you know is the bottle, the blend is getting smaller and smaller. You can't really refill it without changing the properties, the taste. And I call up a buddy of mine who used to own Hypnotic, Jim Landis. He's on Hypnotic. His family's in the alcohol business. College together. We did Kung Fu together. And I said, yo, I want to create, you have to understand, like my old Colonel Bolaño was his name. He makes his own cigars. I want a Connecticut wrapper with this fill, with this shape, with this size, with this gauge. My Uncle Luciano, who lives here in Miami, he gets his own wine made. I want like a 53% of this, a 24% this. He calls up California, they make it, and they send. So I'm thinking like, there's got to be a way to make my own Scotch. That's why I contacted my Jim, and I'm like, oh, here's what I created. Is there a way we can duplicate this? I want a Dominijanni household blend, about 6 cases, and I didn't think anything of it. He's like, yeah, not a problem. He disappears. Thought he drank the bottle. Never heard from him for a while. Next thing you know, he's got my 6 cases. It cost me a pretty penny. And I crack it open with my buddies, and they're like, "Yo, bro, this is the bomb, this is great stuff, and like, yo, let me get a bottle to take home." And I'm like, "No, I can't. This is all I got." And in true Marine Corps fashion, the 2 Marines that were there, Moreno and Solomon, they're like, "Yo, over the next 48 hours, they call me up and they're like, yo, this is some good juice. You should go into business. You should mass produce this." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, whatever, shut up, And then it's like, and again, the phone calls keep coming, and they're like, "Yo, you really need to go out there and produce this." I'm like, "Okay." And then after a while, I'm like, "You really think it was that good?" He's like, "Yo, this is some pretty good stuff." So I recontacted my buddy Jim, and I asked him like, "Hey man, what did you think about that Scotch I made that I had you make for me?" And he's like, "Yeah, good. Like you think people would buy it?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's good enough." It's like, with the right marketing and the right this, you can get out there. And I'm like, "What do I got to do?" He's like, ching, and he's like, "I got you, bro." And 2 years later, here we are. I've been in Forbes twice. You name it. I'm the number one. What is that? I think at one point I was top 5 Black-owned brown liquor. I'm the only veteran-owned Scotch. I'm the only Black-owned Scotch. I'm now number 2 Black-owned whiskey. I'm like, how did I do this? So I'm quite proud. I wouldn't, my buddy Jim, I would be out here without my Marines. I owe everything to those guys. What I am now, and that's the short story.
Cool. That's we're going to get more into the Scotch here because I'm a big fan of brown liquor.
and sadly, I think Scotch, all I ever think of is Dewar's. And
that was my uncle Gary. He passed away a couple of years ago. He's a multi-millionaire. That was his big thing. It's like, you can afford all these great things. He's like, nephew, that is what I grew up drinking. It's just 10. So that was his big thing. It's like good for him. Good for him. May rest in peace.
Growing up 13, 14 years old, going to the store getting my father's bottle of Dewar's. That's the only Scotch I've ever heard of. The only Scotch I've ever tried, I believe. Whiskeys, I'm all over the damn place, but
Scotch is gotta be from Scotland.
A good friend of mine who is he's a Scotch snob. He told me one time, he said, life's too short to drink blended whiskey. And so all he drinks is single malt. That's
now,
it.
I will tell you this. If you look at the history between blended whiskey, blended scotches, and single malt, originally the top tier, because when you did single malt, single barrels, they were considered too fuerte. They're just too not mainstream. They were too strong, and that's why the blending came about. And then it went 180. Where now the blended are the lower tier, and the single malts are actually the higher tier. But I challenge everyone who has this mentality, just to think about this. You have something like a single malt. What you're having is something that obviously it's pure, it's beautiful. There's nothing against single malts, single barrels. Absolutely. But the thing is, you may not like smoke. You may not like peat. You may not like sweet. The great thing about a blend is that you're able to take the best elements from each aspect and tailor them towards your audience. It's like cooking. It's like if you look at Italian cuisine, this region makes tomato sauce. This region is spicy. This region is this. If I make you a dish, I like a lot of salt. But what if you don't like a lot of salt? You like spicy, and he doesn't like spicy. So what you're trying to do, what I did with my Scotch, is I tried to make a blend. I'm not going to say it's the best, it's not the best Scotch in the world or anything like that. But I will say it is a perfectly balanced blend, because I can make everybody happy, because it's a Highland and Speyside. You take the sweetness of the Highland, a little bit of the smokiness from the Speyside, and you will get a really nice balance that makes everybody happy. It's like being at a campfire, but not sucking on a charcoal briquette. That's the way I describe it.
Gotcha. We've got a question already.
She told me she was 18. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
This here is from Mammy Lee 9-inch on Google Text. What is the secret to your steak from Throwdown, Captain D?
Wow, that goes back. I'll tell you the truth on that one. It was just not being mainstream. When I did the initial competition and I was cooking against a bunch of people, I immediately looked at my adversaries, and that's what I will call them. And I just wasn't impressed. There was a dude from, I'm going to just come up with a joke, Wetumpka, Alabama. And his big thing with his steak is he was injecting with Italian salad dressing. I'm like, really? That's your A game? Get out of here. And then they had this guy who was half Haitian, half Dominican. He knows spices because culturally, blah, blah. But also knew that there was no way he was going to win because people from the Caribbean burn their food. Everything that they did, what he was doing was, it was seasoned, beautiful, but he burned it. He was pressing and getting all the juice out. No American wants to eat something that's well done and burnt. So the competition by itself was relatively easy to win. I'm not going to say that I was the greatest guy. I just cooked better than the people I should have never gone against. And that's the truth. Nothing to belittle them, but they should have never been there. And I know that sounds very, very good. Other competitions was a different story. But the secret was to just be outside the box, man. It's like, what do you want on your steak? A1 steak sauce, ranch dressing, salt and pepper and ketchup. The hell, why are you here? Why are you here? What I did is let me try something different. I went Asian. I used ginger. Nice. I used chili peppers. I used Coca-Cola. I'm not supposed to do Coca-Cola, but I used the cola, garlic. And I just put a lot of things that accented. When I used my ginger, the reason why I used ginger, because it brings out the sweetness. The reason why I used chilies, I used the acid. The acid brings out the heat from the chili peppers. So it's knowing your ingredients, but not just knowing your ingredients, but knowing how they interact with one another. Basil is great. Tomato is great. But what happens when you put them together? You get a synergistic effect, right?
Yes.
Ginger is great. Sweetness is great. When you put the two, they accent each other. So that is my secret. Knowing how your ingredients react with one another, right? They interact with one another. So thank you very much for that question. That was awesome.
Awesome. I was reading through your bio, and something that I learned about your Scotch, and we're going to put it up so people can order it. Matter of fact, I will probably order a bottle here as soon as we get off of here.
That's awesome.
Is that where do some of those proceeds go?
Okay, well, originally, I give back. This is, if I have about 30 seconds to segue. I modeled my company after the FUBU concept from the 1980s or early 1990s. FUBU was a Black-owned clothing company, and it's for us by us because, we just have different dimensions. And I remember my buddy got thick thighs. He couldn't find a pair of pants that fit him unless he had 5 waists thicker because his thighs was. I was a sport. Even me, I couldn't find clothing that would fit me. Anyway, so because I wanted to give back, so I was like, if this is a Black-owned company, this is a veteran-owned company. I wanted to give back to those people who I would not be here without. And for that, it was the United States Marine Corps. There was I like to say a young lady. She's much younger than me, even though her son is younger than me. Carolyn Blashek, she was the starter, the progenitor for Operation Gratitude. And for just about every deployment I was on, and even in between deployments, she had supported me and my units and the Marine Corps, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force. She was always there for me. We wound up becoming really, really good friends over several deployments. And there is absolutely nothing that I could ask her for that she did not deliver. She was just an amazing person. She was never in the military, and she just absolutely bent over backwards for us. So because of her, support for no offense to the other services, to other Marine Corps units, but just her support for me and my Marines out there for so many different, I had to give back to her. Operation Gratitude is who I donate proceeds to.
That's amazing. I like it when entrepreneurs and companies give back. Another question here. Thank you for your question. Is your Scotch distributed to local stores or available just through your site?
You can find it in New York in the next 2 weeks. You'll be able to find it in Texas, New York, South Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, Florida, Washington, D.C., Maryland, more of the northeastern states. But you could also get it online. You can find us. Well, we're available mostly. You could probably in Total Wines and a couple of obviously other local liquor stores, the non-large ones and stuff like that. But you can order us. You can order online. In fact, if you order online, you could also get bottles engraved. I don't make a penny off of the engraving, but like, hey, happy birthday. You can get it put there. Happy Father's Day, happy Marine Corps birthday, happy Army Day, happy Navy Day, macho man, and all that other great stuff. So, I like to poke fun at my, my kinder, gentler.
We can. I worked for a Marine gunner. He was our divo when was in a joint service unit. And he used to answer the phone, Navy men's department.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. I'm not going to say that, but I agree with that. So yes, you can find us online, and you can find us in some stores. We're working. We can't. If we expand too quickly, it's not a good thing for us. But we're expanding as quickly as we are able to.
Oh, so you don't run around hand delivering bottles?
No, I believe it or not, it's like I'm not just a CEO. I'm also the delivery boy. That's just very much true. I go everywhere. I'm going to be in Dallas, Texas this weekend. I'm going to be doing tastings. Where my bottles go, I like to follow.
Nice.
Because if you don't, you lose it, and you just don't care. And you'll let some other schmuck who doesn't care about your company do your job, and he'll screw it up because he just doesn't care about it as much as you do.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, do you? So you don't do any of the distilling or whatever. You just take. Okay.
We have a master blender in Scott to our specifications. He creates my blend. It's a proprietary blend, and we bulk, obviously, and then we have it, and we sell it here in the United States.
Okay.
So it's made in Scotland. You can't buy it there, though.
Of course.
Now, do they also make other people's scotches, or is it just Few's? You're on like.
I'm sure they do. Nothing against to him. It's
like today we're making X, and then tomorrow we're doing Y.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Okay.
Not my business. You know what I mean?
As long as they get it right.
I don't mean to be rude with that. I just don't. It's not something that I was concerned with. I just like. I'm trying to be nice. Screw you, pay me. Or at the end of the day, this is what I would like. He made it. He was able to get it to. I got 3 vials or little samplers of what he was able to mass produce. Duplicate off of my original blend. That's a big one, and this is something I'm very forward about. They go, is this an exact duplicate of what you made? I can't tell. It's been, it was months. All I know is that I said, here's what I want you to duplicate. And I got back my 3 little vials of it, and I tasted, and I said, Marine Corps fashion. First one was good. The second one was amazing. The third one was pretty good. I said, I want the second. And it's like, good. That's the closest one we could do to duplicate. The closest thing to what you made. And I'm like, that's what I want. So I'm saying it's about 90, 95, 87%, similar to what I created. I don't know. I can't give you an exact number or anything like that. But at the end,
it's close enough to the taste.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I said, this is what I want. This is my blend. And this is what I want to mass produce. And I am so satisfied with the product that I put out there that the very first generation of bottles, you could tell the difference between the bottling of my first generation, my second generation, because my second generation has my signature on the back, because I wasn't sure that when we mass produced it, if it would taste the way I wanted it to. So I was scared to put my name on the bottle if it didn't taste the way I wanted it to. So after the first round of production, I was like, this is exactly what I expected, what I wanted. Now I'm safe and I'm happy and proud to put my name on the bottle. I really do stand behind my bottle.
Well, I will check it out, and I will probably email you a critique of it.
That's what I want to hear, and I want the truth. I've met people, they're called bourbon drinkers, who don't like...
Hey now.
Yeah, well, the thing is, how do you know if there's a bourbon drinker at your party? It's just like, how do you know if there's an F-18 pilot at your party? Because they'll tell you over and over and over. They're like, not only do I drink bourbon, I only drink this bourbon. You're like, oh, here we go again. And my father drank bourbon and my mother drank bourbon. And you're like, just try the scotch, dude. Just try it. Let me know. I don't drink scotch. That's my fun. That's me poking fun of bourbon drinkers. And I like bourbon. There's nothing wrong with bourbon. Oh
no, but you gotta mix it up every now and then.
I'd like to say that,
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try it out. Now, how about are you on the international market yet, or just
no,
just
not
the United
yet.
States?
I'm about as international as you get when it comes to scotch, at least in America. So no, we're strictly United States. I would say probably the closest thing to being international is going from New York to New Jersey, because those cretins put ketchup on their hot dogs instead of mustard. So, we don't associate with those people. But outside of that, no, we're strictly United right now.
Well, why put mustard, chili, and cheese on my hot dog? So.
Yeah, exactly. Like a good person. Yeah. Once you put ketchup, the only people who put ketchup on hot dogs are children and people from New Jersey.
Hey,
and my ex-wife.
I just said I'm from New Jersey. I put mustard on mine.
Yeah, you're good. You're a good person. I like you. You're on our side, on the side of the river. So I got you.
I batter my hot dogs and eat them on a stick. So
I got
that's called corn dog.
Well, that way I get a hot dog and cornbread. So
there we go at the same time.
Yeah, but do you put mustard or ketchup on your corn dog?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, reason I brought up the international market, I know Japan is big on scotch.
Yes, the Japan for 1 year. I've been training in martial arts since I was a kid. And one thing I learned about the Japanese culture is very much from what's the movie with Tom Cruise, The Last Samurai, which is really it's a collage of 3 or 4 Japanese books, here the Japanese legends and history and stuff like that. But what the Japanese do, they try to master. No one in Japan is a cab driver. They're good. They're temporary. They're there to be the best cab driver in the world. No one in Japan is a bartender waiting to be an actor. They're there to be a bartender, be the best bartender in the world. So when they make a product, whether it's vodka, scotch, whiskey, because I believe they have a scotch that's like they own a distillery in Scotland. Okay, to be a scotch, it has to come from Scotland. They, I hate to say it, I know it's very biased or prejudicial. If Japan says I make the best scotch in the world, I'll almost go, okay, I'm willing to believe it. Let me check it out first, though.
Yes.
They're absolutely phenomenal in just about everything they do, because the culture is put 152% effort in everything you do. So
yes,
again, if the vodka, it's not from Japan, but if they say they make it, I'll probably just go without trying it. I'll probably automatically give them the benefit of the doubt that they're top tier at least.
Yes. So how does you kind of went over, how you got into blending and making your scotch and everything.
Right.
How does somebody just break into that? I mean, is that just?
It's impossible. I was lucky to have I mentioned before my buddy Jim Landis. We went to NYU together. I was a Wing Chun ninjutsu guy, and he was a Mongolian wrestling Wing Chun guy. So we were both into kung fu, and we were in fraternities, and we did all the other great stuff. But he comes from and in the alcohol, the spirit importation, exportation. I mean every aspect of the spirits industry. So the way I was able to break in was just to literally have a good friend of mine who I saw every quarter. He comes out to Miami every quarter. And that's just it. I just made the phone call and I said, look, it's like this. I can, for example, you might make the greatest, pizza in the world, but you may not know about the business. So if if everyone says this is the greatest pizza in the world, how do you market that? You find someone who knows, the business aspect of pizza. And that's how I went with him. I'm an idiot when it comes to that. I'm learning every day. Jim teaches me. He passes on information. He's a great teacher because he doesn't, belittle me. He knows I'm stupid and doesn't make me feel as stupid as I am with regards to the business. I've recently become a CSS, Certified Specialist of Spirits. That's because he told me, hey, you need to do this. I'm like, got it, brother. You let me know what else I got to do. You need to go to this event. Got it. This is what you need to do. So, that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, that was, I guess that's fortunate that you knew somebody and you're actually, you pulled the trigger and said, hey, let's go do this. And
I did a lot of the problem is my story isn't as sexy as people think it is, because they're thinking like, hey, I started from here and I had to overcome these hurdles. And sometimes it's just knowing the right person at the right time. There's a saying, you can't make money without money. We know that. There's a lot of that. Okay. Sometimes all we need in life is someone to give us a little step up, that one rung on the ladder. That's what separates a lot of people from failure and success, or just being stagnant. I won't say failure, being stagnant and overachieving and stuff like that. I just happen to be lucky enough to know a person who I trust very much, with the business aspect of it. I would not be here without him. And even before that, I wouldn't be here with my Marines, who told me that, sir, bro, son, you need to get this out there. It would have never left my house. It would never left my house without all those individuals involved.
Well, cool. That's an amazing story. Now a question that I usually ask Marines that are on the show, I haven't asked you yet. I got to ask you your favorite flavor of color crayon.
Yeah, well, I retired in 2017, and right around that time is when we were this crayon thing came out. I mean, we were jarheads, and we were like, we had like knuckle draggers. So this crayon thing came out when I was retired. Like, what is this crayon thing? Like, when did this come out? So I never like ate the crayons. I never got into the whole crayon thing. The crayon thing came out after I got out, or right when I got out. So it's a little new to me. I'm sure there was an Air Force guy who came up with it, and is making money off it because he's so much smarter than the rest of us.
Oh yeah, and they live better deployed than most of us live in garrison.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. If you want a great quick Iraq story, we were in, I can't remember where, and we had to do our little stopover before we got to Fallujah, and we were at some Air Force base, and we walk in, and the first thing is, you got to take off your boots. We're like, what? What the hell are you talking about? They're like, and they literally like, imagine like, excuse me, sir, you can't come in here with your boots on. And we like looked at it. And I was the boss. I was the captain at the time, and I'm with my two master sergeants. It's like, and the guy kind of like, goes away, and it's air. It's like 42 degrees below zero because the AC is on high. They have blankets. There's couples. I'm talking like airmen, boyfriends and girlfriends with blankets on, doing God knows what underneath the blankets, watching them. When we walk in and they show a bunch of Marines, that they were like, oh man, like they were like, and we were so disgusted with the level of like the living conditions. Like we're like the most Spartan people out there, that they had all of this available. We walked out. I have never been so disgusted, because when these people complain, they're like, no offense to you Zoomies out there, but when I complain, it's because I don't have enough freaking ammunition. When these people complain, it's like, oh, we had a chocolate ice cream today, and you're like, you're sick in me. Like, oh, when I was dating, what do you mean dating? How do you date in Iraq? Well, my boyfriend or my girlfriend, you're like, what? What? Like, seriously? Like, you actually had a relationship out there? Like, so, yeah, no offense to Air Force. You were just on different sheets of music, Oh,
yes. Got another question here.
Okay.
Let me pop it up first. If you can read, I saw an ad to become a Scotch owner. Is it like all these small coffee businesses? Is it like a franchise?
No, not at all. And I would say I don't know anything about the coffee business, but I will tell you this from my limited experience working with spirits, specifically Scotch. What would make Scotch way more difficult than the coffee business is that every state has different legalities and rules and stuff like that regarding alcohol distribution, ownership. For example, in like one state, it's a system. Like I make it, I sell it to you, you sell it to him, and he sells it to the consumer. You're like, oh wow, okay. In another place, I can sell directly to the consumer. Another place, I can't sell past midnight. Another place, I have to be married to the mayor's freaking daughter to do things like that. Another place, oh no, hallelujah, the big guy upstairs is gonna lay fire and brimstone on you for selling alcohol, because alcohol's the devil. So every state, every city, every county has a different rule. So I would say, from my experience, alcohol's got to be probably the most difficult occupation or business to get into, because every place is different. So having, again, a partner, and I don't mean that kind of partner, but having a partner a business partner who has been in the business for 30 years and who knows the differences between the legalities in Alabama, New York, Utah, and insert every other county or sub-county. That's been a tremendous boon for me. The coffee is, I'm assuming, a lot easier. So unfortunately, that's the best I can give you on coffee.
Hey, totally understand, because I wouldn't know how to get in either one of them. So if anybody's out there listening, got any more questions for Eric, go ahead and send them on in, and we'll get them answered. Any business philosophy that you want to, like, somebody?
Yeah, I'll give you a great business philosophy. Let me philosophize for a second. I mentioned before that I went with the concept, forest bias, Black-owned clothing store, clothing company, excuse me, from the 1980s, early 1990s. There was a point where I was looking at my investors, and I was looking at some great angels out there who really believed in my product and put a substantial amount of money. But then I started getting calls from a lot of my Marines. Hey, sir, I want to invest in your company, but what's the minimum investment? And a lot of these things, the minimum investment is like $100,000. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, again, it's like the only money is to have money, and that's not right. So then I started looking. I'm like, I don't have one. This is the only Black-owned Scotch company. It's the only minority-owned Scotch. It's the only veteran-owned Scotch. I'm like, how can I be the only veteran-owned Scotch company if I don't have one freaking veteran investor? I don't have one Black investor. I don't have one minority investor. That's not right. And the reasoning is because the average minority, the average veteran doesn't have $100,000 to meet the minimum the minimum investment. So I talked to my buddy about it, and I was like, why do we do this? He's like, Eric, let me ask you a question. Do you want to deal with 10 people putting in $10,000, or do you want to deal with one person dealing $100,000 on investment? And I said, well, I'm going to be honest. The 10 people who would invest $10,000 in my company are probably good friends and family of mine. And I do want to hear from them every day. And he's like, wow. I'm like, these guys, no offense, angels, and I love them very much. They already have money. They don't need any more money. They want more money, which is nothing wrong with it. I want more money. Don't you want more money? We all want more money.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the reason why some people are kept below a certain economic line is because they're given the opportunity. So if I lower the minimum investment to $10,000 as a minimum investment of $100,000, now I'm giving the opportunity to the average person like me and you. Oh, wow. So he goes, do you think you could do it? I'm like, yeah. So within 1 hour, I wound up getting about $100,000 in potential investments. That was on a Friday. By Wednesday, I think it was like over $300,000. And this is like my brother putting, putting money. My buddy, he's Indian. So my half brother is half Puerto Rican. My buddy is, checking the box, minority. My other buddy's from India, checking the box, boom. And he's also Navy, double checking the box. My old gunnery sergeant, Juan Jenkins, he's Black and he's a Marine Corps, double checking the box. This guy over here is a cop, and another check in the box. Oh, she's a female and she's a Marine Corps, checking the box. So just by opening it up to realistic investments, like why don't the average company, why do they do that? It's almost like they want to keep the average person down. Why can't you create the opportunity for the average person to make more money, to set themselves up for success? Granted, it's risky, but still, so I did that, and I stand by that, and I love, and I know a lot of people don't even remember the FUBU company, but I love that aspect of for us, by us. You cannot be a Black-owned company if you don't have Black investors. You cannot be a veteran-owned company if you don't have veteran investors. You cannot be a female company if you don't have female investors. I know you might be a woman or gay or Black or Jewish or tall or short. It's irrelevant. You cannot validate your existence as a XX company if you don't have XX group of people as part of your investors. There you go.
All right. Opening up that way. Yeah, you do open it up for a lot more investors. And that's
and I'm proud of it too, because you have to stand by it.
Yeah. And you're giving those people
how much clout are you gonna have if you're a vegan who owns a steak company? That means you don't care about the company. Nothing against vegans, but the thing is this. Yeah, I have a lot of problems with vegans because they don't drink my scotch anyway, so I don't care. But the thing at the end of the day, if you're a vegan and you're like, oh, I have the 6 biggest steakhouses in the United States, I'm not going to listen to a word you say. You might know the business, but you don't care.
You've never tasted your product.
Exactly. There you go. You have no bond with the
Well, they have a bond. It's money, but that's it to them.
You got to look past the money sometimes. Yeah. Like when you look at a lot of these companies who went corporate, and I'll throw one out there. You look at we mentioned before Pizza Hut. When I was a kid, Pizza Hut was an amazing place. It was a family-oriented place. You went there. Your father went there. It was like a working class, place. Like your father came home from work, he had to take the kids out, and then you got to watch the Little Rascals. You got to watch what do you call those guys? Abbott and Costello. They had popcorn, Tom and Jerry, Woody Woodpecker. It was an amazing place. And then, of course, they went corporate, and it sucks because it's not real pizza. It's bread with freaking sauce and cheese, and that infects the rest of the United States in thinking, because they got used to it, that's what real pizza is. It's grease, you know? That's the problem when things get so big and people don't care about the product anymore. They care about the money that they're able to mass produce that the average person will eat. And please excuse me for this, but when you're a chef and you grew up with Pizza Hut being the most amazing, it was like Disneyland for pizza. And you robbed that. You robbed my generation of that. That's the problem.
And back in the day, they had salad bars in there and all different things in Pizza Hut. Now it's just walk in, get your pizza, walk out.
Yeah, I've seen too many places get ruined. We have here in Miami, there's a Hispanic.
And not for nothing, it's not just the food businesses. It's your other retailers, your hardware stores that started off looking at customer service, building customer service, and all of a sudden it's, okay, we're making money. You come, you go, do whatever you want.
And there's some businesses where it's all about the money. I can see that. You know, mass production, it's not going to affect maybe the quality. Sometimes it improves the quality. It really does. Sometimes mass production improves the quality of some of the stuff. It may not improve the service, but it improves the quality. But in some things like, you know, like I said, you imagine, you know, I don't know if you guys remember Pizza, but it was the most beautiful place to go when you were a kid. You know, and it's not there anymore. Bring it back. You have so much money. Bring it back. Lose some of the money. Bring it back. You made enough money. How much more money do you need? Bring it back so my children go to Pizza Hut and watch Tom and Jerry or whatever cartoons and see whatever it is, because it was a beautiful place. You know, and there's so many other restaurants like that. You know, I want my people to enjoy my Scotch, and more importantly, I want their children and their grandchildren to enjoy my Scotch.
Once they reach
right,
once they reach legal age,
right out of the womb.
Yeah. Okay, because they're not strong enough to open the bottle yet.
Well, hey, Eric, this has been informative. It's been fun. Hunt Brothers Pizza, the god of pizza in Kentucky.
Look, Kentucky and pizza, that's like New York and barbecue. I just don't see the, or how about this one? That's like Miami and people showing up on time. The two just don't go well.
Kentucky, it's pretty bad when the best pizza in Kentucky is gas station pizza. So
yeah. Actually, I can give you a quick one if we have 30 more seconds.
Go ahead.
All right. So joined the Marine Corps. Here I am, 1998. And I'm the one Yankee in the whole room. And they all ordered this thing called Papa John's. I don't know. I've never heard of Papa John's before, but, it sounds legit, right? Hey, Papa John's, right? So they order this pizza. And the first thing I see is all this ranch dressing. Hey, who ordered the salad? And they were like, what are you talking about? There's all this ranch dressing. Where's the freaking salad? And they look at me, no, man, it's for your bones. I'm like, bones? What the hell are you talking about? You mean wings? I'm like, you morons, you hillbillies, what is wrong with you? It's supposed to be blue cheese for wings. You're not supposed to dip it in. And they're like, no, the bones of your pizza. Like, what? The bones of your pizza.
The crunch.
You put ranch on your pizza? What is wrong with you, Cretans? And then I tried the pizza, and it was so horrible that I understood why people put ranch dressing on the pizza. Because if you have to put ranch dressing on your pizza, you don't know what freaking pizza is. That's the freaking problem. Again, a corporate thing, mass-produced, and now people in Kentucky or Alabama think, oh, my God, this is the norm. And people like me, who are half Italian, who went to Italy, who are from New York, the pizza capital of the United States, actually it's Connecticut, we go to them and they tell us we're doing it wrong. So I'm flipping out. Then I'm watching my roommates and my friends eating pizza sideways, ripping it, look like apes, with no opposable thumbs, tearing into their pizza. And I'm like, what is wrong with you people? How do you know? And I folded my pizza like a true New Yorker. And my roommate, his name was Hawkins. And he goes, D, how'd you do that? I'm like, what? How'd you do that? You just, I'm like, it's called folding your pizza. Like, what are you guys, freaking apes? Listen, if you're from New York, stick to pizza, stay away from Mexican. From Miami, stick to Peruvian food, stick to Cuban food, but stay away from Chinese food. If you're from California, don't touch pizza. You know, if you're from Alabama, hey, stick to deep fried everything with freaking gravy on top. But there comes a point where you got to admit you suck at making a certain food, and you shouldn't cross that line because you're insulting the people who it created that food. And that's my thing. Remember, I'm a chef. Food is my life. Stop insulting other people's food, please, please.
So are you telling me White Castles aren't hamburgers?
All right, White Castles, that's a that's a 3 o'clock in the freaking morning, okay? Let me ask you a question. Have you ever eaten a White Castle sober? Probably not, because
Yes,
you can't digest it. You need 4 gallons of freaking vodka or beer down that chemical that created the White Castle burger. But they're damn good. They're damn
I grew up
Yes.
around the corner from the White Castle. We were there day and night, drunk, sober. It didn't matter.
I love them. My kids eat. You got to have the pickle. So you, like back in the day, I'm not sure if it still is now. You had your White Castles, and Tennessee was the border Castles and Crystals. Crystals is the hillbilly version of the White Castle hamburger. They put mustard. The bun is too thick. Sorry, Crystals. I had you about a month ago. You were horrible. I got to get a double minus the extra bun. So I get 2 buns instead of 3, and whatever. And it was just like, I think it was maybe just that Crystals that was bad. But you got, how do you know the difference? North of Tennessee, it's White Castles with ketchup. South of Tennessee, it's Crystals. Sorry, it's White Castles with ketchup on top, Crystals with mustard on below. There you go. So sorry, Crystals. That was just one bad experience. I can't remember. It's been so long since I've had Crystals. So.
Well, hey, this has been a good show.
I know, because I was on it.
Wow.
Man.
Well, it's that Marine Corps
Does
modesty
your arm
coming out.
hurt from going like this?
All the time. Never matter where you go. And if I may, the last one, this is very important. This will be a great segue to end. When I create my scotch, I have a family toast. And what I do, I wish I had a glass in front of me. I take my toasting glass and I go, you look at your person in the eye and are you get what you deserve. And when you say that to an individual, they get upset, they get butthurt. You're not dealing with a good person. But if they go, hey, if you're dealing with a good person, they're like, hey, man, hey, brother, may you get what you deserve too. Now you know you're dealing with a good person. So, gentlemen, may you get what you deserve.
Thank you, and may you get what you deserve.
Right.
Misfit Nation, we will see you again with the ToosDay Crue next Tuesday, and we got another live show coming up on Thursday, so we'll see you there.
Good night, everybody.
Good night,
you guys
everyone.
have a good one.
You too, Eric. Thank you.
Take care.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? If so, you can obtain a free lifetime pass to more than 2,000 federal recreation sites. These sites are located across more than 400 million acres of public lands, including national parks, wildlife refuges, and forests. The lands host activities to fit any lifestyle: hiking, biking, fishing, camping, and much more.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.